April 20th, Bellefonte Borough Council virtual council meeting is called to order. We had a Parks Committee meeting just prior to this. We'd like to do a Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence for the COVID-19 pandemic first responders and essential workers who are placing their lives in danger in order to protect our community and provide critical services, as well as for all the victims of this pandemic. And our hearts do also go out to the family here in Center County who lost their loved one here last weekend. We have the flag, Ralph?
Yes, do you see it?
No, you didn't say to put it up.
Hang on, it's up on my screen. Hang on a second here. Sorry about that. There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Everyone, pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States
of
of
America,
America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty
liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please. Ralph, roll call.
Ralph, fall asleep.
Don, do you want to do the roll call?
Yeah, Ralph just dropped off the face of the earth here.
Don, can you do the roll call?
Yes, okay. Miss Clayton,
Here,
Mr. Eaton,
Here.
Miss Humboski,
Here.
Mr. Johnson,
Present.
Mr. Prendergast,
I'm here.
Miss Thompson is not on yet. Miss Tosti Vasey,
I'm here.
Miss Walker,
present,
Mr. Brackbill. I think Randy's been going in and out, but he is on. And Mayor Wilson,
Not here yet.
not on yet. Okay.
Okay. Have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion, Eaton.
I'll second that.
That was,
Debbie,
okay.
Clayton,
Eaton and Clean.
Eaton and Clayton, I like that. Sounds almost poetic there.
Any changes?
I didn't see any.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Consent agenda, need a motion?
I'll make the motion.
That was who?
Prendergast,
Okay.
Prendergast.
And second?
I'll second Johnson.
Okay. I'd like to remove the budget versus actual and the budget versus the summary budget versus actual.
Okay.
So we'll vote on the others first, and then I'll go back and I'll ask my question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? So moved. For the public's purpose, Gina Thompson has joined us.
Hey, June.
Hello.
Hi. The question I had is when I was reviewing the summary, it showed that the expenses for the bulk water fund are 6 times that budgeted for the year. So I went back to the actual budget and noticed that this appears to be due to 2 different payments. One is to Northwest Bank for the payment of the principal for the waterfront development that we got when we sold the property, as well as a $2,000 conditional grant loan to the IDA. There isn't a corresponding income for these 2 expenses. my question, is this a result of the property being sold at the end of the year? And if not, where did the income, should the income have been shown for these two expenses?
All right, Joanne, we'll have to check with Lori on that and get an answer from her.
Okay, so how do we handle this since we don't know what's happening with us? Do we just hold them off for vote for the next meeting?
Well, you could vote on it conditionally until you get her response. We'll have her send the response on it tomorrow.
Okay,
I just
So-
got back in, so I'm sort of lost where everybody's at.
we had a question regarding the summary and actual budget, where there's some expenses that aren't matched with the income coming in. And Lori is going to have to give us the answer why, because that particular budget line is 6 times higher in expenses than we had budgeted for the year with no corresponding income coming.
I saw that, I think it's the total of, funds from, every source, water, sewer, garbage.
Yeah, I figured out where they were. The problem is it doesn't show that the income came in.
Correct.
And we're trying to figure out where that income is at.
I think it's a transfer payment later on, but should have Lori clarify that.
So can we have a motion to accept these conditionally on clarification?
I'll make the motion to accept them as long as we get clarification from Lori.
I'll second it,
Second.
whatever.
Prendergast, I heard you first. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Thank you. Move to, we did not have any public comments, so we'll move on to written communications. Ralph or Don, you want to start off?
But the May 2nd watershed cleanup day has been canceled. They're encouraging people, if they still want to do something, do it the week of May 2nd through the 9th, just on your own. And then the Bellefonte Children's Fair scheduled for June 6th was also canceled.
Okay. Clearwater Conservancy asked if we could create a motion to recognize May 2nd to 9th as Watershed Cleanup Week and post our Clearwater Conservancy recommendations that they'll be sending us probably next week on our website for residents on how they can do their own cleanup during this week using social distancing protocols. Could I have that motion?
I'll make that motion, Eaton.
Johnson will second the motion.
Eaton, Johnson? Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Anything else for written communications?
I don't know if this is the time or not, but I heard on the news that the cruise is canceled.
Yes, I heard the same thing, and it was decided over the weekend that they would go ahead and cancel. So it was, I'm sure somebody was going to mention that this evening.
Okay. Gives me one less thing to do.
Was there any discussion, Ralph or Mike, of rescheduling it? Maybe in September or October?
They were
I did
saying-
catch, I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
Ralph. Go
Well,
ahead, Ralph.
I caught the news, and they said they're looking at a September, maybe a smaller car show dance, that type of thing in September.
Okay, that's good. I hope so.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, there's no as per our protocol for these virtual meetings, individuals had to contact the borough by 3:30 this afternoon in order to do some public comment. I asked Ralph and Don just before this meeting started. We did not get any requests for public comment. So we'll move on to the mayor, Mayor,
He's here.
you're on.
I see him anyway. That's a little box.
Tom, can you hear us?
Tommy, can you hear me?
Yeah.
It says connecting to audio.
give me time to restart my computer.
Tom, if you can unmute yourself, you're up.
Can you unmute him, Ralph?
I'll try.
Can you hear?
There you go. Oh, you're on, you're off.
Go ahead, Tom.
How do I look?
You can't see
Oh,
it.
great. Best picture I've seen of you. in years.
Anonymous.
Well, what do I see Ralph and there's the little white man's up here on the high corner. Do I touch that?
There's a thing that should say show video somewhere on your screen. Click that.
No, there's nothing on my screen except you, and it says Joanne, and then show video. Well, everybody went away.
If you move your cursor around, it might show up.
Yeah, move your cursor down to the bottom of the screen, Tom, and see if you can see a video and a
I
microphone.
have a
He just muted himself.
Let me try to. Oops.
Okay. You're back on audio again, Tom.
all right. The audio's on.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I can see you guys.
What
I
happened?
can't see you, but
Go ahead and give your report.
All right. Well, it says here, courtesy parking remains in effect. We're only checking for blocked hydrants, if vehicles are parked too close to the intersection. So we do have a 2-hour courtesy parking, and we have alternate street parking enforcement. We're going to consider a motion to enforce during stay-at-home order, I guess.
So,
For those of you who are not aware, it's pretty much out now, but the cruise has been canceled. And it appears that they're going to try to do it in conjunction the last weekend in September in conjunction with the Milesburg cruise. And I want to thank Hullovision. Justin Melanson called me about a week ago, asked what I thought about them doing the presentation for the frontline workers. And I told him to call Ralph, and I didn't know if we were going to need it to be approved or anything. And he got back to me a little bit later, and thank you, Ralph, for approving that and getting it set up. It went very well. My concern was that we would be encouraging people to come to the park, but he assured me that the screen would be big enough that the public service announcement would tell people just to park and watch it in their cars, which I believe they did pretty much. So I went down, I don't know what night it was, Saturday night, and watched it for a while. So anyhow, that was very nice for the city. We got some coverage on that and on the Channel 10 News as well. In fact, Ralph, you were on there. I saw you. Good job.
Celebrity.
That's it.
So we're going back to the alternate street parking enforcement. This is in certain sections of town where the roads are rather narrow. I'd like to have a motion to not enforce this part of the ordinance during the stay-at-home order.
yeah, let me just clarify. It's generally in the metered area in the downtown. We have it set so, and it happens all year round. In the wintertime, it's for snow removal. In the summertime, it's for street sweeper running, which is done very early in the morning. But we're not doing those things right now. So it's with so many people being home, it's more of a burden than anything. So we're asking just, we can cover up the signs if council could just suspend the enforcement through a motion. We'll take care of covering up the signs, until we get back to normal.
I'll make that motion, Rockville.
Second it, Clayton.
Raquel Clayton, discussion?
It sounds like a logical idea.
So as I understand it, for the public's purposes, what we will do is cover the the
Right.
alternate signs up during this period. We'll take them off and we'll go back to the regular enforcement once the emergency orders are lifted.
Yes, we may simply just cover them up, but regardless, that would be the idea, so it's not confusing to people. It'd be
Okay,
the simplest thing to do.
sounds good. Any discussion further? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None opposed, so moved. Okay, the next item on the agenda is my report. So mostly cancellations and changes due to the coronavirus and the emergency declaration. The borough office continues to remain closed to the public. If you need assistance, call 355-1501. You can also email the borough at borough, B-O-R-O, at bellefontepa.gov. Mail us at 236 West Lamb Street. You can also drop off your correspondence in the box slot at the main door. We already know that the Bellefonte cruise has been canceled. In our packet was a letter from Carol King, email regarding an easy outreach idea since we've had to shut down the drop-in centers. And what I'd like to do is read a little bit of that for the public's purpose. Students and seniors are receiving daily food deliveries. This food is distributed by schools, aging agencies, restaurants, business organizations, and through the Y backpacks from people who care. The Census Bureau sent us a flyer for us to send out to local businesses and entities with daily meal deliveries so as to encourage households to respond to this census. They're asking that it be signed, and I think since both Tom and I are co-chairs of the Complete Counts Committee, there should be our signature. And what I'd like is a motion to distribute these to the entities that provide pick-up foods and ask them to put this in when people pick up their foods. What this will do is help us get approximately $20,000 per person who has had the census completed over the next 10 years. That's a lot of money for us. It's really important for our roads, for our schools, for the hospitals, and all of our other public services. Currently, only 49% of the households in Seneca County have not responded. So we need to push this a little bit more. So could I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
That was Mike,
I'll second.
Mike and
I'll
Gina.
second it.
Mike and Gina,
Yep.
Gina?
discussion?
Joanne, the only question I'm going to have on it, do we know what our current completion response rate is for in the borough?
When I looked 2 weeks ago, it was 37%, which was a little bit higher than the county.
Okay.
So it's gone up
Can you
since
hear-
then, but
can
I
you
don't
hear
know
me?
what it is the next day.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Tom?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the response being higher than the county, and I think with with what's been going on and people being distracted, I've been asking people that I know and people on the street and via Facebook if they've sent in, and just about everybody I've talked to has already completed it. So I think we're doing pretty well considering the situation. It was right front and center right before the virus started, and then it got pushed way to the back burner. So I'm not too worried about it at this point.
Yeah.
But we need to keep encouraging people in the borough to send in.
So Ralph and Don, we've had the motion. Need to, once we vote on it, what I'll do is I'll send you the updated flyer with Tom's and my name on it. If you could send it, maybe with Gina's help through DBI, we can get them to the restaurants and then and we'll get it to the Complete Counts Committee group on Wednesday.
Sure.
Okay.
Joanne, your camera's frozen, just by the way.
He said, I look like I'm moving.
Yeah, you're not moving on mine.
Over here.
I think it's you, Tom.
Yeah, could be.
Moving.
So, um,
Technology is a wonderful thing.
so, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. So I'll get that to you. I'll send the updated flyer to you, Ralph and Don, to get that sent out to and I'll
Alright.
send it to you, Gina, as well, so that you can get it to the restaurants in town. Okay?
Okay. Yep.
And the final item I have is for council members. I went on to the State Ethics Commission website 2 days ago and found out that they've extended the deadline for the submission of the statement of financial interest from May 1st to July 15th, so without being subject to a compliance hearing. And this applies to all current and former elected and appointed officials.
Okay. I was going to bring that up under new business, but thank you for doing that.
Sure. That's the end of my report. So we turn over to council members, and I know Gina has something first.
Yes. Just let me gather my thoughts. I wanted to kind of talk to you all and sort of the public, whomever's watching this, that we've had some concerns about the various entities within the borough. We have Bellefonte Borough, we have HARB, we have Downtown Bellefonte Inc., and we have other organizations. And we just talked before and thought we wanted to clarify the differences between the two. And so, or between all of them. So and I think sometimes it's confusing for the public because I have sort of a role in both of them. I'm a council member and then I'm also the Main Street manager for DBI. So I think sometimes the community or business owners might get confused, but if you're ever unsure, just reach out. It's not a problem, but sometimes things that happen in the town that maybe people don't necessarily agree with are outside the jurisdiction of Downtown Bellefonte Inc., and they're more of a Bellefonte Borough matter. Usually, Downtown Bellefonte Inc. deals mostly with economic revitalization and the downtown businesses and interacting with them. And we also do community events, and we are a Main Street program. So therein lies, in a very simple, quick way, sort of the differences. But I know that there's been some confusion recently. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Joanne, or not.
So I think maybe the confusion seems to be because our former Main Street manager was also the HARB director.
Right.
And I think people have gotten that confused. And Gina is not a HARB director. She has, the only responsibility she has with HARB is as a council member and voting on recommendations from HARB. So if you have a historic district issue, it needs to come to the borough offices, not to DBI. And because they have two separate positions now. Anyone else want to add anything on that?
No, that's good.
Okay. Any other council member reports?
I have a committee meeting update.
Yeah, I have committee meeting update too, when we get to
Okay.
Go ahead, Randy.
Right, you
The
wanna do
only
yours?
thing I have is on the Bellefonte Fire Department Executive Committee meeting for April 23rd. That's been canceled. And a decision is to hold the May Exec Committee meeting decision until sometime in May.
May to be decided later, okay.
And that's all I had as far as committee meetings.
Okay. Gina, why don't you go next? With the finance committee.
Finance. Yeah, so Finance Committee met on April 16th. We just kind of looked over the budget as it stands related to the COVID crisis and things that have changed in relation to that. And for the most part, the budget is okay. It hasn't had a huge impact regarding COVID. Some of the real estate taxes are starting to come in, and there hasn't been actually too much of a delay in that. So as it stands, we're not too concerned about the budget. If, of course, if things continue for an extended period of time, then we're certainly going to have to go back and reevaluate. I think, Ralph, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We have suspended any major projects right now.
Correct.
Because of COVID and that sort of thing, and saving money or that. So that's correct.
That is correct.
Okay. So we're okay in the short term, and we'll check back in the long term. That's all I got.
Okay.
Someone else can jump in if they want to add to it.
I think that's a good summary.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Melissa, Parks and Rec?
We had a meeting right before this meeting to talk about the Good Sports park reservation and a fee schedule for renting out Governor's Park. We decided on a $175 per day rental fee for the field, plus a $100 refundable deposit. The regular rental fee for pavilions will stand, and we would like a certificate of insurance for any entity that would like to host an event out there. And that was our recommendation. If anyone has any questions, myself or the committee can answer them. Otherwise, we will add this fee to the fee schedule in a subsequent meeting.
So what we will do this evening is go ahead when we get down to the old business and take the Good Sports letter off the table and process that. And then in a subsequent meeting, when Ralph and Don can put together the new fee schedule, we'll actually make it official for everybody. Okay with everyone?
Sounds good.
Yes, it works.
Okay, do we need a motion to accept this recommendation at this point, or should? You're muted, Ralph.
I can take it from here, then we'll have a motion, of course, to approve the resolution, so,
Okay, so we'll wait till the next meeting to do that then.
yes.
Okay. The only other one that I have on my list is personnel, and my question is, where are we at on the wastewater treatment operator applications, and how should we go about scheduling the interviews if we're ready for that?
Well, I believe we received 3 applications or interested parties for the position. And we're thinking, given the circumstances, we'll try to conduct those 3 interviews through this means of review process and see where we're at. You know, it's a very kind of a small applicant pool. Advertising is fairly expensive. So we thought we'd at least go through the interview process with the 3 applicants and see how that goes. And then, you know, evaluate things at that point.
Yeah. For the public's purpose, I think they need to understand that this is an essential position.
Correct.
That's why we're going ahead with the interviews, because we're short right now and people are doing overtime, and it's considering the type of work that this is, we need to get another person on board to reduce the stress for these employees.
That's absolutely correct. The operations at the wastewater treatment plant is a 24/7 operation. And there's 5 rotating operators, and we're down 1. So yes, there's extra stress, and it's something that absolutely has to be taken care of. It takes a while, once the person's on board, to get them trained and ready to go. So it's a long process. We need to get started.
Any other committee updates?
If there isn't any, I know Chief Weaver's on the line or in the call.
The only thing, there is one, and on Wednesday from 2:30 to 5:30, the Sustainability Institute is doing a presentation, including a presentation on the possible use of the Armory for police services, and that's going to be from 5 to 5:30. Is that something that the public could join in on? If so, we'd need to send them the Zoom link.
I don't have any answer. I know they are looking at how to control who's in, and I think I saw an email recently, something about they had concerns about the Zoom bombing and those kinds of things. But we can ask the director there as to if we can put it on our website or something like that.
Okay, thanks.
I just wanted to add in that email that came out they changed the Zoom code along with a password. So everyone that I knew had asked me about wanting to attend. You were either on it. If you weren't, I forwarded that message to you so that you have it, so that if you want to get on, you can look at the email I just sent it this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Dawn, did you send that to me? It's Randy.
Yeah, Randy, you and Doug were the other two that I sent it to. I think Deb Cleaton, her and Joanne were on the original email, and that's the extent of whom I heard from.
And when I saw the first email, I thought this thing ran from like 3 to 5:30. Is that not the case?
No,
Yes.
it runs from
2:30 to
2:30.
5:30.
Yeah,
I thought it was
2:30
2:30 to 5:30.
Yes.
It is 2:30 to 5:30. The schedule they sent to us said that the Armory is from 5 to 5:30.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Want to go back to Sean now?
Sure.
Evening, John.
You there, Sean?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Do you have me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So is this, we're still in the council session, right? We're not in the
Yes.
executive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I just wanted to give you an update of what our operations have been in the last couple weeks. From the 1st of April, I just wanted to go over the significant call and how many significant calls we've had. And I just jotted down. We've had 1 assault, 1 child abuse, 3 911 no voices, which is someone called 911 and hung up. We have to go check on them. 1 cruelty to animal, 6 disorderly conducts, 5 domestics, 2 DUIs, 1 drug law, 1 forgery, 1 felony fraud, 3 harassments, 5 borough ordinance violations, 1 missing person, 1 mental health crisis call, 3 suspicious person stops, 18 vehicle stops, 6 thefts, most of them were from vehicles, 1 overdose, actually 2 overdoses, 6 vehicle crashes, and 1 weapons violation, and 1 unsecured property, which was found on a foot patrol. So that's since 1 April of this year.
I have a question, Sean. I've been hearing on the news, and I know from past experience that when we've had people isolated, like we're having these days, that the incidences of domestic violence and child abuse go up. There's been concerns particularly about children that the mandated reporters aren't having, don't see what's happening. Have you seen any increase in these areas since this started?
No, and that could be something we might not experience or they might not even go reported for months or weeks after the abuse. So that's something we are really not, we might not know the effects or the results of what's happening now till a month or two down the road, or maybe a year. Because as you well know that, 40% of them don't even get reported.
Mhm.
And then another certain amount don't get reported for a long time. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any questions from anybody?
Did good.
All righty.
Thank
I'll be
you.
around. I'll be here.
Thanks, Chief.
Yep.
Any other comments before we move on to old business? Seeing none? Ralph, you want to go down the list?
Sure. First one is just an update on the strategic management plan that we hired a consultant to help us with, along with the grant funding that came from the state to make it possible. That project is still progressing, and we just wanted to report that the consultant will be reaching out to elected officials and staff department heads in the near future. So please be aware of that. I think there's some survey information as well. If you have a few moments, try to fill that out and try to set up the interviews and keep things moving. The next item is the brush and grass collection. We did a trial run on April 15th, went pretty well. We're going to go ahead and do a every Wednesday pickup at least through the April and through May, just as we had planned to do it. We're still limited on staffing, but we're going to go ahead and do it. And just some of the particulars that I want to mention since we're here, we're only able to pick up what is in the borough's waste container provided for brush and grass collections. And in order to get the service, you must contact the borough about paying the $10 annual fee. It's just a one-time fee for the season, and we can get you signed up. The only other requirement is that you purchase the brush or grass container through the borough, and then it's just a one-time purchase for the container.
Do you know what the cost is?
I think it's around $60, $55, $60. Is that correct, Dawn?
$60, Ralph.
Okay, $60. If anybody's interested, again, just call the borough office. We can add it on to your utility bill. You don't have to come in or anything like that. We can take care of it over the phone. I also wanted to mention, we did change the Musser Lane compost facility hours with all the issues going on with the COVID-19 precautions. So we tried to make a contactless system. We did away, suspended the key deposit and the sign-in, sign-out requirement. And we've adjusted the hours to be more closely like when a refuse crew is there or coming and going. So the new hours, anybody can go down. We do have some restrictions, but anybody can go down from Monday to Thursday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Friday, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 11:45. And the other restrictions are that you only take the brush and grass clippings. You can't take any man-made materials or any other restrictions that normally apply. They still apply to enforce those laws. So is there any questions anybody has at this point? Hearing none, I'll keep going. That is the good sports letter that Melissa had mentioned in her report about the fee. We're obviously going to work and develop a fee resolution for the next meeting. We also just wanted to remind our citizens that the park playground equipment is closed all park playground equipment is closed for now until, at least until the stay-at-home order is lifted by the governor. We just felt that was the healthiest and safest thing to do. And then I would turn to the next line item, which is the Talleyrand Park Phase 2 pre-bid meeting. Dawn attended that. So Dawn, do you have any comments on that?
Just to update council briefly. The pre-bid meeting was a mandatory pre-bid meeting. It was held last Wednesday. We felt very fortunate. Seven contractors participated in the pre-bid and also purchased the drawing. So the bids are due on Monday, May the 4th, right prior to our next meeting. We're going to open the bids via Zoom at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we'll bring the results to council later that evening. I'll keep going. I have down here an email. CDBG is going to give out some money. It's CDBG COVID money. Right now, we anticipate the borough getting approximately $70,000. HUD is still working on the regs on what you can use the funding for. I've been talking with Matt Miller pretty frequently on this, both the borough and the county. One of the things that we're thinking that we can do with it is to help offset any residents that are in the LMI category to help pay their utility bills. So the borough refuse, water, and sewer bill could be paid for with these funds. I don't have a time frame on when we're going to receive them yet, but I think it'll be within the next month or two. And then in addition, just the other day, I got an email from Matt. Our 2020 funding came out, our allocation. I'll forward that out to council. It's going to be $115,190. And then finally, just the DEP 902 grant update. A couple years ago, we applied for the grant. We did get a $250,000 reimbursement check from DEP. We're still the only remaining project that we have on that is the gate, security gate out at Musser Lane, and some security cameras. We have about $84,000 left to do those two projects. So whatever that cost is, up to $84,000, we'll get back 90% of that as well at the end of the day. So those were the three reports that I wanted to add on those line items.
And I'd like to add on the Cantilever Bridge project that Don and I have reviewed the easement contract with the railroad, and the solicitor looked at it and said he thought it was fine. So we should be signing that in the next couple of days so that we can go ahead with that. Because that has to be signed before we can actually take it. Going back to the good sports letter, I need a motion to remove the letter from the table so we can have a discussion.
I'll move that.
Prendergast,
I'll second that. Clayton.
Prendergast and Clayton. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we can discuss it. Melissa, do you want to make your motion?
Sorry, what now?
Want to make your motion?
For the fee schedule?
The fee schedule and allowing good sports to go ahead with their program.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to allow Good Sports to go forward with their tournament for a $175 a day fee plus $100 refundable deposit plus regular pavilion rental fees.
$45 a day, which includes electricity.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll
Does that
second.
include the certificate of insurance?
Yes.
Okay. So Melissa did that, and Mike, you
Yeah, I'll
seconded it?
second it.
Okay. Discussion? For those of you who don't have the letter in front of you, this tournament is currently scheduled for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, July 24th, 25th, and 26th at Governor's Park at the ball field.
Joanne,
Yeah,
should we put something in there that this is also conditional as to any requirements on groups? Because that might not change yet as far as large groups getting together. I don't know what they're anticipating in group, but maybe the wording should be in there.
let me see if I understand what you're saying. If so, you might could amend the motion. Just basically what you're saying is that you'd like to see something amended so that within the limits guidance of the social distancing.
Social distancing, yes.
Okay. You want to make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion to amend.
Okay. So Randy has made a motion to amend the original motion to add language also conditional on social distancing as required by the COVID-19 recommendations. Who's seconding it?
I'll second.
Who's that?
I'll
Ann?
second. Me.
Oh, Gina.
I'll second.
Okay. Amended by Randy and Gina. Discussion?
Yeah, my only concern with that, Randy, is I wonder if if we should try and just keep like the COVID stuff separate from the other normal day-to-day things. Like if down the line we're still in our stay at home in July, then we could reassess then. I mean, that's my only concern with that.
I would imagine that if we're still in the lockdown in July, that they would cancel anyway.
Right.
I'm not talking about a lockdown. I'm just talking about how many
The social-
people may constitute a group on any guidelines that come up. So that's all this language does. It doesn't stop. I mean, as long as the people who are running the program follow the guidelines, that's all this is being put in there for.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We don't really understand that they still have to follow guidelines.
But are those, I guess I'm a little confused. Are those guidelines like going forward for the rest of the time?
No, Gina, this motion is specific to good sports. It's not to.
Okay.
Is
That
it
specific event.
just that
Okay.
specific?
Okay. Okay. I just wasn't clear on that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Dodd.
What was the date again? July?
24th, 25th, and 26th.
Okay. Based on no arts festival, Central Pennsylvania Arts Festival, no Heritage Days in Phillipsburg canceled, and the Bulls Park Arts Festival canceled. I can't imagine why they would want to continue with this tournament. You have major events that have been canceled. So I'm not in favor of approving this at this time.
Doug,
Yes.
this is Tom.
Yeah.
In regard to those four major events, there's other extenuating circumstances, primarily financial, that has to do with, and the dissemination of advertising funds that would go out to those organizations, which if they didn't cancel them now, those funds would have probably had to go out, and whether they could have been recouped or not, I don't know. But I think that was the major push, I believe, in the early cancellation of those events. Not really having to do too much with the social distancing and that kind of thing. It was more about funding. That's my take on it. And I would imagine if you think about it, that's probably why they jumped the gun a bit on it.
Well, due to what's going on in this country right now, I am not comfortable approving any event like this for July.
John
noted.
Eaton,
John, go
I'm
ahead.
jumping in. Now, let me ask this question. This is a for-profit, is this a for-profit entity that is requesting to rent our facilities, the borough
Yes.
facilities?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess, it's a little bit following up with where Doug was going. Their decision process, being a for-profit entity, is going to be different than the decision process of a public entity that might be putting on an event like Arts Fest or something like that. So, in some ways, you got to, I guess I'm a little bit concerned that they could possibly take some risks that a public entity wouldn't take. And, we sort of have to make sure we in some way aren't part of that. You know what I'm saying? That by having the, renting them the space, you could find, or I would say it would not be unrealistic that they might decide to have an event that we might not think is prudent. And then what do
I have a
we do
question.
if we've given them a price?
Ann, go
I
ahead.
have a question.
Oh, is that Gina? I thought it was Ann.
Not me.
Yeah, it's me.
Okay.
I have a
Okay.
question. Is it possible to, because in my mind that it's hard to make a call now. Is it possible to conditionally approve this event as we would for other events and assess closer to the date? I always give people the benefit of the doubt to a fault, and I assume that as they get closer to their date of their event, they're going to assess whether they should have it or not. However, if they don't, we still have the authority as council when we get closer to the date to make that assessment as well. So is it possible to conditionally approve it tonight and then reevaluate as we get closer if they haven't taken upon themselves to cancel the event?
Well, it looks like what we're getting into is a Roberts issue. We've got a motion on the floor to, with the social distancing. This looks like a second motion to add to that.
I have
That
a
would say
question.
that. Go
I don't want
ahead.
to interrupt your thought. If right now our playgrounds are closed, so if our playground is closed in July, wouldn't this be a moot point?
Probably.
Yeah.
Like we would decide when to open up the ball field again.
Right.
Well, maybe what Melissa, that's a good point. Maybe what we should do is make an amendment to the amendment saying based on social distancing and our reopening of all playground and recreational parts of the park. So that if we still have the playgrounds closed, then the park, then come end of July, if that's still closed, then their event could not be held.
I would either do that or just put in the letter that it's council reserves the right to decide whether the park ball field should be used or not, given the circumstances. And, we'll make the decision sometime as early as we can, but if it's looking like in June, haven't cleared up, you can make the decision in June. But it wouldn't hurt to put something in the letter, just giving you that ability to cancel the event, even though they may agree to pay the fees and that kind of thing.
Ralph, I agree with that concept. I think adding that to the letter, I don't think we need to motion everything that we want to put into this decision, but I think the borough has the right to govern what goes on at the park. And if it's not realistic and it's not with any type of guidelines that might be out there, you would certainly have the right to let them know that we're going to not allow it.
Okay, so let me make sure I know what we're clearly voting on. So we have an amendment saying that regarding social, that this is conditional on social distancing per the emergency declarations, which is what we've done. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have, are we ready to vote on that?
Please don't ever be.
Okay. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
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 Aye. All opposed?
No. No.
Okay, one no. Then, so the amendment passed. So now what we have is the main motion with the fees, the conditionally social distancing, and the showing certificate of insurance.
Oh, I have a question. Shouldn't the fee schedule be separate from this? Because I approve the fee schedule, but I don't approve allowing them to continue with the tournament. So how can I separate that?
Doug, the fees are just for, we're doing the fee schedule itself with officially at the next meeting. We're not setting the fees for everybody at this one. If you're against having this event at all, no matter what the fees are, you would be voting no on this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So, is that clear to everybody?
Clear as mud.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor of the motion as a whole with the fees and the conditions that are set, say aye.
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 All opposed?
No.
Aye. So there are 2 noes. So it passes. And Ralph, you'll put in that note about we still reserve the right to cancel based on the situation.
Yes.
Okay.
The
So
only,
I had one more question on that, Joanne, even though it's passed. Will we be liable then if somebody becomes ill with an event like that?
No.
If there's a ball tournament out there and we approved it and somebody gets a COVID-19 virus and dies, are we liable?
That's why I voted no. But
Well, that's the question. I
don't
think
know.
we are. Or if somebody becomes ill.
Ralph, you're more of a lawyer than any of us.
I say, at this day and age, certainly there's some liability there. We do ask for a certificate of liability, but as you heard, it's only usually a $1 million policy, which isn't, a whole lot of money anymore. If we want to really get an answer, we can ask our solicitor. But I would say that there's some risk. I mean, we canceled the Easter egg hunt, early April for the exact same concerns. It wasn't our event. It was an already approved event, but we thought it was in everybody's best interest to cancel it. So
Yeah.
I would
That's
say.
sort of what I was driving at. It's not a borough event. And
Correct.
so now we're taking all the responsibility if something would occur.
Not all of it.
In connection to, I understand, in connection to the COVID-19. That's all I was asking.
And we still have the option to cancel it if it looks like things are not breaking loose anyway. So,
Yes. Yeah, we will write the letter that
you-
way.
Well, the only caution I'll give to you, Mike, is you sort of have to have a firm idea of what it is you're going to, what's the metric we're going to say that we're going to use to say, okay, we're going to cancel this event. You know, we're going to call them up and we're going to say, okay, we're going to cancel it. I mean, you have to have in mind what it is that you're going to base that decision on.
I would say that
I mean,
we base it on medical evidence that's coming, that hasn't been presented yet. We don't know what's going on. We don't have any basis to say that this is a bad idea at this time.
Well, let me just add, we've been trying to follow the governor's Pennsylvania Department of Health guidelines from day one, because we don't want to be trying to guess what the medical experts are thinking. So for example, if the governor's office says there should not be a gathering more than 10 people,
And this will be canceled.
this tournament will
Agreed.
be canceled.
Agreed.
okay. I mean, as long as we have that out in front of we understand that, I'm good to go with it. I mean, to me, basically us sending that letter to the organization saying that we reserve the right to cancel this event basically says all the financial liability is on them as far as like pulling the event together. You know, we're basically saying that the council meeting before the event, we can say, no, this isn't happening. And they have to turn back all the money and everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, in my mind, hopefully they look at that response and they say, nah, okay, these guys are going to pull they're reserving the right to pull the plug on us, which I think is quite reasonable. From a business standpoint, I would think that would sort of make the venture not something they would go forward with.
You know, I don't know if there's been any contact with this group since they submitted this I guess it was the last meeting. But you know, they're going to fall under the same guidelines as everybody's falling under. And so the organization itself has to be responsible that if it's not looking good, they need to just cancel it on their own. They might cancel it once they get this letter, if they haven't already. I don't know if anybody's talked to anybody from that group or not.
Well, it sounds like we've kind of know where we're going forward with this. So why don't we move on to new business? There's no other old business.
I was just going to mention, whether it's old business or new business, we did get an email from the Boroughs Association saying that the June conference is canceled. It was scheduled for like Sunday, June 7th through Wednesday, June 10th. So just an FYI, that has been canceled.
Do you know what's happening with the resolutions? Did they say anything about that?
I think they're going to take them up. I skimmed the email. I think they're going to take them up at the October meeting.
Okay.
They have an October conference in Gettysburg. So I think they're going to put everything into that conference.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, moving on to new business. The first item on the agenda is a memo from the county commissioners. We need a motion to approve resolution 0420-2020-01 to mirror Center County government's resolution they adopted on April 7th regarding real estate taxes. What this will do.
I was going to make the motion.
Okay.
And I'll second it.
Johnson and Eden. For the public's purposes, what this does is it maintains the April 30th deadline for the 2% discount. That does not change. It moves the face value of your property taxes from June 30th to September 30th. And it moves the 10% penalty start date from July 1st until October. So Johnson made the motion and Eden seconded it. Discussion? FYI, the reason we have to do this is because the county property taxes and the borough's property taxes are on the same bill. So it has to be mirroring what the county does, otherwise it really confuses everybody.
No, I think it's a good, I think it's a good, it's a wise move on our part, and I think it's a good move on the county's part to provide some financial relief at this time of stress. So I say, let's go forward with it.
I agree with Mr. Eaton.
I totally support it, yes.
We're all on that page.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item is the community-wide yard sale for May 15th and 16th, and the bulk wastewater pickup on May 18th to 22nd. Right now, it's still a go. We want to know if you would like to consider postponing these with a date to be determined, probably in the fall. So I would need a motion, if that's what we want to discuss, we need a motion to postpone both the community-wide yard sale and bulk waste pickup to the fall. And we'll determine a date at a later date after we know what's happening with the emergency.
I personally think that we should postpone it, although a lot of us got a lot of time to clean out our basements and stuff. That be sitting there until the actual pickup, but yeah, I'd say postpone it.
I'll make the motion to postpone the riffraff cleanup and the townwide yard sale to a later date, September, or whenever we decide would be appropriate.
I'll second that.
And Prendergast, okay, Johnson and Prendergast. Discussion?
I'd like to put it on our agenda for the future to reconsider a date in the fall.
Yeah, I will put that on my list.
Okay, great. Thank you, Joanne.
You're quite welcome.
Yeah, I think it's timely that we get this out, because I think I'm noticing some collections being formed. People are anticipating, and so we sort of have to let them know that riffraff might not be occurring.
It'll be occurring, it's just a question
In
of
the fall,
Yeah, it'll be later on.
which will give people more time to accumulate more stuff to put on the curb.
good idea.
Always the problem there, Ann. Always the
No,
problem.
it's not a problem. I
That's not
think
a
it's
problem,
great.
that's a good part. I always missed it.
We have a lot of pirates that come and clean up the mess before our borough employees even get there.
Yeah.
That's true.
Another reason to delay it as well.
That's right.
Definitely a thing.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Passes unanimously. Next, Donna, Ralph, you want to talk about the Union Cemetery grass cutting?
Sure, we normally use Rockview inmates to cut the grass. Let me just clarify. Union Cemetery behind the courthouse is not owned by the borough. It's owned by an association, and they've been struggling. So, of course, the inmates are not permitted out, and we're going to step in and try to help cut the grass using our borough employees to make that happen. But there is an interruption in getting the grass cut, and will be as long as the restrictions and everything's going on with the virus. So, you know, if you get a call about the grass being high or whatever, we're trying to do the best we can. It's over a 20-acre property. And I stress it's not owned by the borough. We've been trying to keep it afloat for the association as best we can, but we have really no choice but to step in and try to help them out for the time being. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that, you know, we'll be using whatever personnel we have to try to make that happen, try to stay on top of it as best we can.
Ralph, who's the
I can
contact?
just add, we've been using the parks crew here in the last couple weeks, and I can tell you that right now it looks as nice as you're going to see it. They're doing a great job with it so far, so looks
Right.
good.
Ralph, who's the contact? I'd be willing to volunteer to help do some mowing. I'm not that far away. I can pretty much go up the hill and I'm there.
Dawn, who's the latest contact?
Well, I would, I can get you hooked up, Randy, but Paul Badger can get you a key to the building.
I don't need a key to the building. I just need to know who to see or what they want mowed or anything like that.
Yeah, you need a key to get in there to access the mower.
I have my own mower.
Oh, okay. That would be fine.
Yeah. You get me, you get my mower too.
You just want to take your mower up over the hill and mow it. You don't need to talk to anybody.
Yeah, I gotta justify it.
Thank you, Randy.
The other thing regarding the cemetery, Bill Hughes is retiring from Penn State. In the last couple of years, his father used to oversee it here for a number of years before he passed, and Bill has also assumed some, his dad's mantle, so to speak, and every spring he gets coordinates with the Boy Scouts to go in and do a cleanup. He did email me and say that given what's going on, they're probably not going to be able to do that at this time. So that's another thing, just as Ralph said, that our guys will have to pick up on until we can get through this.
Any other questions? Okay. Don, do you want to do the waterfront development property? I think memo came from you. This is about
Yeah, I think Ralph, they had asked Ralph about this. I'll let him take this.
Okay.
Yes, basically, I think I may have put the memo together, but that's irrelevant. The developers of the waterfront or the property owners approached the borough about whether or not we would want to sort of continue the way things have been, allowing the public to cross the property, including the brick walkway, which is in their name. It's not been turned over. Obviously, the road has not been rebuilt yet. As any property owner would know, you have liability, when you own property. And they said, we don't want to fence off the property. Is there something we could work out so that the public could be on the property, use the property until construction starts, and then only the construction area under construction would be fenced off. The rest of the green area would remain available for special events or the public crossing it or what have you. So I first started checking with our insurance people to try to get some numbers. And I did get, just as of Friday, some news that they can extend the liability of our general policy to this property with no cost. So I thought that was pretty good news. The only thing both parties felt that it was in everybody's best interest to reduce this to a very simple agreement. And then they did ask if we could cut the grass as kind of the consideration for the agreement. If council's approves, which is all we're asking for, is an approval to have an agreement worked out. The agreement would be written by either our solicitor or the solicitor for the IDA, who is very familiar with the property. We'd pick one of the solicitors and have a draft agreement made up, circulate it, and then I just suggested the council president and the chair of the Building and Property Committee, and I believe it is still Ann?
Yes.
It's still Ann.
Okay, thanks. To look over the agreement and feel comfortable just to keep things moving. And since we're not getting together as much as we used to, just look over the agreement and get it on its way. if that's suitable, we're just asking for a simple motion to head in that direction.
I
I'll
would
make a
glad,
motion to put together an agreement for the waterfront property
I'll
usage.
be glad to second it.
And with the follow-up with myself and Ann.
And yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. So that was Brackville and Prendergast. Discussion?
So all we're agreeing to at this point is to have,
The solicitor drafted, and then you and I would review it.
And
And
we
if we
review
think it's okay, then I'd sign it.
Yeah.
okay, but, okay, so what we're deciding tonight is whether or not we just want to look at it.
You may wanna
Well,
create
you
it.
want to move ahead with the concept of having an agreement with the developer that allows the public on the property.
Right. Okay.
So we would be drafting the agreement with the solicitor's assistance. Then you and I would review it. And if everybody agrees, then everybody would sign.
All right. That works.
A question.
Go ahead, Randy.
Ralph, in your discussion with the developer, are there any timelines provided as to what they?
Well, you know, their initial timeline was this summer, but, you know, obviously with everything going on, it could be put off a little bit. Hopefully, you know, when things turn around, we're hopefully very optimistic that the economy is going to come back strong. But I think everybody's hesitant as to what the immediate future holds.
Yeah.
In other words, no timeline.
No.
Thank you.
Well, that's understandable due to what's going on
Right.
in the country today.
Right.
I'm all in favor of it. Let's, I call the motion, please. Let's go ahead.
I agree.
I agree.
No further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Again, and unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, then the final one is the NIMS training.
Yeah, the NIMS training is, you know, if we've tried to remind everybody of this, all the elected officials and senior officials are to have what's called National Incident Management System training, basic training. It's a free online class. It started after the 2001 event. And shortly after that, the government officials realized everybody in local government, state government, and federal government needs to understand the communication process for a small event to a large event, a national or natural or man-made disaster. So this training just helps you understand the lingo used in the event of some kind of an emergency. So of course we're in one now. It's not something where we have flooding or any of that type of thing, but nevertheless, it's a good reminder to try to get the training. It is free. It's online. You can get a printout, a certificate when you're done. I would recommend you take what's called the NIMS 402. It's specifically designed for government officials. It's NIMS 402. It's an updated combined class specifically for, again, mostly elected and senior staff officials in government. So if you need any links, I can find the links and send them to you. There. If you just look up NIMS 402, you'll find it.
Thank
FYI,
you.
everyone, I attended a webinar last week about the NIM with DCED, and they mentioned that the emergency funds are coming with COVID-19. Some of them would be limited, if not eliminated, if we don't have the NIMS training. So this would help us in the borough if all of us could have that training if you haven't already done it.
Yeah. Is that connected with what we went to last year, Joanne?
Yeah, it's related, but it's not the same class.
Okay, I've tried to do this several times. I cannot get the online, whatever it is, to work. what do I do now? What's my next step?
We can talk to you offline, check to see if there's something we can do in our end or get a paper of the program.
Okay,
Whatever we can do,
Perfect.
try to sort through it for you.
terrific. Thank you, Ralph.
Sure.
I took this, I think, back in 2014. And, but then I was taking 3 classes. They weren't grouped now. I think they did make it better for that. But it was pretty simple to go through. You could, I believe if I remember correctly, you could pretty much time it to your schedule as to when you want to work on it.
Yes.
But it is important that there are more members than one that have taken this course.
And I think if you've done it before, it doesn't hurt to do it again.
Only if you have to. But I would say this, that this emergency that we're under right now, I hope everybody's taking notes as to what's going on, how we did it, because this would be a perfect scenario to keep training on as time goes by. If something like this would happen again or something else happens, we have our ducks in a row and we're prepared for it. And that would include our police, our first, our fire, EMS, things like that, to bring them all together and have some sessions and things like that, just to keep up on our knowledge of interacting in an emergency situation.
That was good, Randy.
I practiced that all day.
Well done.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Anything else for the good of the cause? Seeing none,
Yes.
I need a movement to adjourn.
One item just came in with an email late this afternoon. The Center County Recycling Authority normally has their household hazard waste collection pickup. They scheduled that for April 24th and 25th. That has been postponed to November 20th and 21st.
November?
Yes, November 20th and 21st. Again, it's the Center County Solid Waste Household Hazardous Waste or cleanup or collection, I guess you call it.
Okay,
That's the one where we take the residents take the material up to the transfer station, correct,
Yes.
Ralph?
Right.
Yes.
okay. Anything else? Seeing none,
Just a reminder, we're going to go into an executive session.
that's where I was going.
Okay.
So I need a motion to adjourn and then members of council, and we will turn off CNET. We will go to an executive session on this soon. All in favor? Oh, I need a motion to
So
adjourn.
moved, Brackville.
Second. Yes.
Brackville and Prendergast, all seeing no opposition, we have adjourned at 8:08.